Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed. Breathing in through our noses and out through our mouth. Bringing our energy in control, our thoughts in control. At any given moment in time, we take control of our breathing. We take control of our thoughts. So right now, let's see ourselves. Let's see it in our minds so clearly that it feels real. Let's see ourselves doing the best we can on all the exercises and stretches and movements we do today together. Feel the power of that determination, your power to determine, to take control of your breathing, your mind, your body, and your life. It's the same power we can use to control our destiny, our future. You are so powerful, you get to go into the future. You get to see in your mind what you want to bring out into the world and make real. Right here, right now, in the present, the greatest gift we have, always. So let's go, determination. Let's go. Determine. See it in your mind. Don't choose and lose. Determine and win. See it in your mind. Yourself doing the best you can, not just here and now, but always in the gym of life. You grow your mind all the time.
Is in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. Everybody just have a good time. Party rock is in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. We just wanna see you shake that.
She on my jock, Now stop when we in the spot. Booty moving weight like she on the block. With a drink, I got to know. Top jeans tattoo, cause I'm rock, raw. Half black, half white, diamond now. Gang of money, open up.
Yo, I'm running through these halls like Drano. I got that devilish flow, rock and roll, no halo. We party rock. Yeah, that's the crew that I'm repping on a rise to the top. No lead in our Zeppelin. Hey,
party rock is in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time.
Yeah.
And we gon' make you lose your mind. Everybody just have a good time.
Let's go.
Party rock is in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. We just wanna see you shake that.
afternoon, leaving Malaga drawn at noon. They'll fly back after the game. Here's Lionel Messi. These two defenders, absolutely amazing.
Morning, everybody. I want to talk today about the power of positivity and just how powerful our minds are in looking for positivity everywhere. I remember Tony Robbins saying that whatever we focus on, that's where energy flows. So where focus goes, energy flows. And energy, your thought, your ability to think, is the greatest form of energy in the universe. So think about that and let's apply it today. Look for positivity everywhere. Be relentless. Wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing, whoever you're with, look for the positive. It is not being blind to reality. It is taking your powerful mind and actually focusing on what's positive in this world, because there's so much that's positive. You do that, and that power of your positivity is endless, and it will affect endless others. So I challenge you now and forever to do it. Have a great day, everybody.
So let's talk about purpose. I thought it might be interesting to address what I see as the sort of like myths around purpose, and then dive into a lens on what I see it as and how we might explore bringing more of it into our lives. Part of them actually show up in the form of popular internet memes. And one of them, maybe the one that I've actually seen the most, in fact, I've seen it literally millions of times all over social media. It's wrapped around this Japanese word, and the word is ikigai. And ikigai translates very roughly to a reason for getting out of bed, a reason for being, the thing that gives you a sense of purpose in no small way. And the concept has been around for quite a long time culturally in Japanese culture. You know, it goes way, 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 way back. It was popularized and made sort of like a much more front and center part of the culture in 1966 when a Japanese psychiatrist actually looked at that concept. Her name was Mieko Kamiya, and she published a book called On the Meaning of Life, which in an interesting way, to me, I think is almost a bit of a precursor to what so many people refer to as sort of like the seminal piece of work around purpose or meaning, which is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. But this term ikigai, if you've heard of it before, there's a really safe bet that somewhere in the internet or social media on like all the different platforms, you have seen a visual associated with it. And that visual is a Venn diagram with 4 different circles on it. And those 4 different circles, one of them says things you love to do. One of them says things you're good at. One of them says things that the world needs. And the 4th one says things that people will pay you to do. And this has kind of become the standard thing. If you want to experience ikigai, if you want to have a sense of purpose, it exists at the sweet spot of things you love to do, things you're good at doing, things the world needs, and things the world is willing to pay you to do, which is absurd if you really think about it. You know, at what point did that last quadrant, things that the world is willing to pay you to do, become an important part of what gives you a sense of purpose? So that's effectively saying that if you love to care for a grandchild, or if you love to, you know, like illustrate something on the side for no other reason than the feeling that it gives you, if the world isn't willing to pay you for it, well, that can't be your ikigai or your fundamental driver of purpose. And I think it's so fascinating that this particular diagram has become so wrapped up in the westernization of the notion of purpose that we now say it can't be valid unless somebody is willing to compensate you for it, which I think out of the gate, we want to just blow that myth up. Is it nice when people will compensate you for it? Is it fantastic when you can actually center it in the work that you do or the job and you can actually, bring it all together? That's fantastic. That is in fact a lot of the work that I do is helping people find that sweet spot. But does it mean that you actually have to get paid to do it for it to be a valid thing that gives you a sense of purpose in your life and in your world at any given moment in time? No, of course not. It is an utterly absurd requirement to think that that has to be part of the equation. So one, let's get rid of that. Let's and if you ever see that thing floating around on the internet, and it's almost guaranteed you will, um, know that there's something a little bit off about that diagram that was kind of broken into it when it met Western culture and a Western mindset that says purpose has to generate money. So that's one thing I think is important to understand. The second myth, and this is something that Mel was really getting to also, is this notion of a big overarching single life purpose, and that we all have one. Very often it's believed that it's preordained or predestined, and that it is the one thing that we have been put on the planet to do. And as part of that, an underlying assumption is that unless and until we learn that one thing in our lives, we cannot, in fact, live a life of purpose. We cannot live and derive the level and the sense of purpose that we would want to feel by doing the thing that we have literally been put on the planet to do. So this is also another thing that is sort of like very popular in Western culture, not so much in Eastern philosophy, but in Western culture. These are really fascinating Western culture overlays, right? This is so problematic to me. And because it basically tells you if you don't know what that thing is, you can't live the life you want to live, which is a complete farce. And it also says that something has to happen in your life to trigger an awakening to what this thing is. And then and only then can you actually step into it and start living it. So I remember hearing a story a couple years back about somebody who's relatively famous who had a horrific loss in his life. It was, he was a parent, and there was an absolutely tragic and horrific loss when I believe he was in his 50s, and described that moment as that was the moment where for the first time he realized his purpose in life, which was to build a foundation, and which was to advocate for nonviolence in a very particular way for a very particular community of people. And of course, that's fantastic work. And that work can give a profound and enduring sense of purpose. And maybe it will carry you through your entire life. But the notion that for that one individual, the only way to step into that sense of purpose was for something horrific to happen, and that he had to wait until he was in his mid-50s in life, and every second, every hour, every week, every month, every year up until that moment was not one that was living into that one unifying life purpose. To me, that is so defeating. It's so demoralizing. It's so feudalistic that it kind of, it's wrong. All the research, and there is substantial research on purpose, shows that it is wrong. We don't have to have one singular life purpose. In fact, many people don't, and they never discover that one thing. Some people do discover one thing that carries them through life. But oftentimes, if it's much later in life, well, then you look at all the early days and figure, well, that was wasted time, but it's not. That's time that you're on a path. And it's time where every moment you have the opportunity to actually engage in activities and relationships and experiences that will give you a sense of purpose. Even if you never discover one thing that you feel in your heart is your, quote, big overarching singular life purpose that you will devote yourself to for the rest of your days. What the research shows crystal clear is that you can have all the benefits of purpose by simply understanding that there are many different ways that you can invest yourself throughout the day that will give you momentary or sometimes enduring senses of purpose.
bubbling. Champagne bottle just popping. We going all night, just a making us stopping. Let's party hard tonight. So going non-stop until the sunlight. We going non-stop until the sunlight. The club done full, only woman inside. It's a good night to get we head tight. It's a good night to get we head tight. Couple up this party going for a flight. Green drinks, we don't care, we go down.
Here's Tevez to Messi. And back again to the Manchester United man. Great football, Argentina. Oh, wonderful.
Good morning, everybody. Today, Jack Ma ends off his top 10 rules for success with us. And his last one is one that stands out for me. It's have passion. This is one that is the activating force in anything great that people have ever done, that you can ever do. You have to have passion. It has to be so in you that you love it, that you breathe it, that you think it. Think about your loved ones. Think about the people you love most in this world. Think about something you've ever loved most in this world. It could be something like, I don't know, playing a video game or anything. Something that has such a powerful force. If you can have that passion and apply it to something that is worthwhile in serving others, there is no limit to what you can do. My passion is spreading as much positivity in this world, where I stand, where I am, with the help of everybody. So I use Jack Ma's thoughts. I hope you do, for now and forever. Have a great day, everybody.
There's a lot of talk in the creator community now about burnout. You know, people 1 year in on their career and they're burning out. It's like, well, I've been doing this for 14 years and haven't burnt out yet. I still love the process of doing the thing. So what is work? Is this work? Like, it's not for me. When it's in my calendar, it's like,
oh, cool. I get to talk to Sean today. This would be a fun conversation.
the second it becomes like, oh man, I don't want to go on this podcast, then what am I doing? I should stop and move on to something else. And same thing with making videos. Making videos, I like the process of doing it. The profiles that we do, I need for me. I listen to every morning. I need them in my life. And so even if nobody liked them, I would still have a skeleton team doing it for me just so that I had something every morning to watch. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of entrepreneurs, they get caught up on running their business and just trying to play to the algorithm. They end up falling out of love with the thing that they're doing in the first place, which then leads to burnout, which then leads to unhappiness. I like waking up every day and doing what I'm doing. Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with hashtag BelieveNation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need them. Because being around successful entrepreneurs who are pushing, who are driving, who are doing amazing things gives me that extra little motivational, inspirational boost in the morning every day to help me go off and accomplish great things too. And I hope that this video gives you that inspiration as well.
So today, let's learn from one of the best, my husband Evan Carmichael, in our take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy.
The biggest thing that I struggled with at the beginning was belief, and still now, but I'm a lot more confident, have more self-belief now than I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. When I started my channel, there was a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers. Like, it wasn't even a thing. I was just making videos just because I wanted to serve. Like, if 50 people saw the video, like, wow, 50 people saw this, great, let's go, right? But it's still the thing that I need most for the next level. And I find that that's constant, right? Like, if your main thing is pivoting, your biggest strength is that you pivoted. Your biggest strength is that you helped other people pivot. And the biggest thing holding you back is like the next pivot. What's the next pivot?
When people ask, like, what's the secret to health? And I think a lot of people default to diet and sleep and, you know, a lot of the typical things. But for, at least for me, my answer, the secret to health is actually loving the work that you're doing. I think if you woke up every day and felt like, I love what I'm about to do today, I'm going to go serve somebody. And it's not that sleep's not important, because it is, and diet's not important, what it is. But I think there's a lot of people who are in great physical shape, or who have the perfect, you know, sleep routine, or the perfect diet, who hate their lives. Yeah. Where I think if you really love the work that you're doing, I think that's a secret to a long, healthy, happy life, and everything flows from there. And so connecting to your purpose, understanding how you can serve, that your purpose comes from your pain. You know, you mentioned it, that you want to help other people who basically are struggling with the same thing that you struggled with. And that's the best. Like when you find somebody who's basically the same as you, but you're just a little bit further along on the journey, and you struggled and you suffered and you know, almost exhausted all the options, and you finally found the path, and you can shortcut that path for somebody else. It's the best feeling ever.
How do you push through any of the parts of the job that are like, yeah, but it just has to get done, whether it's accounting or any elements that just are not your jam?
Yeah, so, you know, I have a couple rules, I guess, that have served me. The first is, if it has to get done once and I need to do it, I'll do it. As soon as it becomes an ongoing thing, it's eliminate, automate, delegate, in that order. Like, does it have to get done? If yes, can I automate it? If no, can I delegate it to somebody else? So you mentioned accounting. That's probably the thing entrepreneurs like the least. You know, shout out to all the great accountants out there. Shout out to the lawyers who review our contracts, and that's a disaster. But yeah, I mean, I gave that up. That was one of the first things I gave up. Inside of my video business, editing, I didn't want to do. I hated editing. And shout out to all the great editors who love doing that. We've got 4 or 5 editors on our team, and they do great work. And they don't want to be in front of the camera. They want to edit. So cool. And so if it's an ongoing thing, I try to get it off my plate as quickly as possible. And the path, especially at the beginning, is trying to figure out, inside my mission, how can I make enough money to be able to hire a team to take away the things that I don't want to do? Where a lot of times entrepreneurs are thinking just big mission out of the gate, which is awesome. And inside that, instead of worrying about how to build a giant brand out of the gate, focus on, how do I make my first 100,000? How do I make my first $500,000? That gets me money to be able to quit my job, do this full time, give myself some financial stability, but then also hire a team to take care of the things that I don't want to do.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Was there a moment that you recall where this mission became very clear to you? Yeah, I talk about it a lot in my book, Your One Word. Yeah. And I had my website, and before I had my YouTube channel, I had my website. We had 100,000 pages of content and all these big name people writing for the website. And I was trying to figure out what my tagline was. What's the slogan for my website? And I didn't settle on anything that I liked. I had, you know, over 100 million entrepreneurs helped accounting and like all these things, and nothing really landed. And I went to go watch the Steve Jobs movie. And out of that, the word believe came up. And like, I really like believe this. But then I can't, like, that's too broad. Believe is too, it's like, it's ourselves who talk ourselves out from the big ideas, right? It's not even our friends and family. It's like, you have a bold idea, and then right away your head tells you why you can't do it, why you're not good enough, etc. So I then went, okay, you can't just be believe, but it's got to be believe in believe in entrepreneurs, believe it, and like came up with all these variations. And I slept on it the next night. It came back, any of them, just like believe. So I don't know, let me test it. And so I sent a newsletter out to my email list just talking about believe, and it ended up being the best newsletter in terms of engagement and clicks. And my sister said she saw it and she actually liked the newsletter, which is like a compliment and a backhand, you know, that only a sister can give. Then I made a video about believe, and my best video on my YouTube channel had 100,000 views at the time. It took a year to get there. And I was so proud of it. 100,000 views is great. The video believe hit 100,000 in a month. And now is in the millions of views for that video. And so it's not that believe is the magical thing. It's a magical thing for me. And so I tiptoed into it, and then eventually went all in on just, okay, I'm going to be the believe guy. I still need it for myself, and I still need it out. Like every time I learn it, I want to go teach other people as well. So my biggest strength is belief, and my biggest weakness is belief to do the next thing.
The brand is usually the biggest way to long-term have success with your company, but it takes a while to build a brand. I mean, you've been at it, lots of people have been at it. Like, it takes a while to build a brand, and a lot of people fizzle out along the way, and they don't know how to generate immediate revenue, which is where the other two shows come in. So if you need to make money this year or right away, like in the next 3 weeks, you can do it through YouTube. It's just not through thought leadership content. If you're doing influencer marketing or you're going to run pre-roll YouTube commercials, cool, that's just direct marketing. And so you can do that. You just track, does it lead to conversions for you? And that's definitely play. That's not where I would be an expert at. Throwing somebody on your team who's just out of university or whatever, that is usually an attempt to build brand, right? We're trying to create our own content somehow to build brand. It's usually not a super effective way to do it. But the direct marketing side is very tangible, is huge. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of big money is coming into YouTube because the ad policies are strict-ish, but less strict than Facebook and Instagram. So people are getting a higher ROI off of YouTube ads than they are on Facebook and Instagram.
What's the point of a morning routine? At least for me, it's to get a feeling. So a lot of times people will just check the box. Like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Okay, cool. But do you feel ready to take on the day? Because if not, then there's either something wrong in your routine, or you did it half-heartedly and you got to do it with more intention. I remember I was doing an event in New Mexico, and a woman was in the front row of my event, and I asked her, well, what's the most important part of your morning routine? And she said, I do the rosary. So she takes out her prayer, the rosary, and starts doing her prayers. I said, well, okay, so what's the point of doing the rosary? It's like, well, by the end of it, I feel connected to what I'm doing and ready to go and start my day. Awesome. How many times you actually feel connected? Like, by the end of you doing the rosary, how many times, what percentage of the days do you actually feel connected and ready to go and start the day? And she said like 40%. So the other 60%, she's doing the words, she's doing the action, she's saying it, but she doesn't feel connected because she's also stressed out about something else, because she's also making breakfast, because she's also watching some video, because she's doing something else. It's like, well, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. You're just not doing it with the intention that is required. Oh, great, keep doing the rosary, but now focus in on doing it with the right intention, because the whole point of the morning routine is to get the feeling. So I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who are go-getters and action takers, we love the feeling of just like check, check, check. We check the box, I did it. But if you don't have the feeling of ready to take on the day with boldness, with courage, with service, with belief, then either go back and do it again or add something to your morning routine or tweak it up a bit. Because for me, at least, the point of the morning routine is to get the feeling so you're ready to take on the day.
Do you ever have moments where you get out of alignment with your mission?
Yeah. Not in a big way. A lot of micro, like what? Saying yes to it usually would involve saying yes to something that I don't want to disappoint somebody on, but I shouldn't have said yes. I think we get a feeling of whether something is good for you or not, right? Even coming here and saying yes, why this? Like, my team is pissed that I'm here because I'm behind. I just got from Arizona. I'm going to Orlando next. I'm going back to Arizona, and they're like, we have this thing in the middle. And like, Evan, we need you on all these things, right? And they're not pissed, but like, I'm now not doing stuff for my team because of this, right? But it's fine. It felt right. Talk to you. It was great. Okay, we're going to spend extra time. It's awesome. Let's do it, right? Even our crew here was helping set this up, right? I was supposed to do a show with Rami, and they said, well, why don't we come here? I didn't know him, and I didn't really know you. So like, okay, well, but it felt right.
What is your number one tip or strategy to help us sell more?
Understand your most important goal and then create the show that helps you accomplish that goal. Like, YouTube can serve you in a lot of different ways. Most people think of it just as a place to be an influencer and build a brand, and it is. If you want long-term success, building a brand and having people beat a path to your door is huge, but that doesn't happen in 30 days. So if your number one goal is I need to make sales in 30 days, cool. Start a YouTube show around business development. Let's go close.
My biggest challenge on a day-to-day, I'd say now, is not accounting or doing, grunt work or things I don't want to do. it's more pushing harder. I think good is the enemy of great. And so things are really good. And it's honestly great. I mean, if you look at a global perspective, everybody listening to this show is in a great, like, you have internet, globally, you're way ahead of a lot of people. You have food, you have a bed. So you're way ahead already of a lot of the world, but you could do more. And that's the biggest push. That's why I need Jay-Z in my ear and Oprah Winfrey in my ear and Steve Jobs in my ear and these people. That's why I make the videos I do, because it's easy to wake up and just keep doing the same. It's hard to wake up and push yourself to do something that you haven't done before, to believe in the next version of what you could become. And that's an ongoing struggle.
The only thing you're missing is momentum. You've got all the tools available to you. It has never been easier to build your dreams, to reach an audience, to create the company you want. Never easier. All you're missing is momentum. Sustained, daily, ever-present momentum. And today, I'm going to show you how to get it. One of the only reasons why I've had success on YouTube is I just kept going. When I first started on the platform 11 years ago, it's crazy that it's been that long. You can kind of see some of the awards behind me here, behind the book. 5 Mil to Serve, that's an amazing book. 11 years ago when I first started, my first video was on Walt Disney. I had my friend Mark Drager, huge friend of the channel, come in and help film it for me and help edit it for me. And in the first year of that video being up, there were only 3 comments on it. One was my mom, one was my older sister, and one was some other random guy who commented on my video. Right. In a year of my first video going up, only one person that I didn't know commented on the video. YouTube at that time was not a long-form platform. YouTube 11 years ago was something that people were posting really silly meme videos and just jokes and pranks, really short-form videos. Nobody was making long videos, 10-minute videos, 12-minute videos. It didn't exist. And it took me 5 years to get to 7,000 subscribers. I knew, because that's when I passed 1 million views. After 5 years, I crossed 1 million views and I got 7,000 subscribers. And then in the past 6 years, it's gone from 7,000 subscribers to 2 million and 1 million views to 300 million views. I just kept at it. Now, my journey doesn't have to be your journey. It doesn't have to take you that long if you're trying to build up a YouTube channel. It may, but it doesn't have to. One, I'm super introverted and nervous and filming. And even now, stuff makes me nervous getting in front of the camera because I want every video to be the best that I've ever done. YouTube at the time was not an educational platform, and it's changed. So there's lots that was against me, but the only reason why I passed so many other creators is just because I kept going, because I had the thing that most people miss, which is momentum. The only thing you're missing is momentum. It was actually sad for me for when I passed some of the speakers that I looked up to and I aspired to be like from a speaker point of view, because I figured these guys are so much more talented than me. These guys have so many more abilities than me. They're more naturally gifted and they put in so much work to be great speakers. And it made me sad when I passed them on YouTube, because I felt, man, these guys, they should be out there more. I feel like their message needs to be heard. The only difference was I was just putting in more work on YouTube. They're off doing their other things as well. But from a YouTube perspective, I was just building more momentum. I just had more sustained energy to it. And you see this so often with entrepreneurs, not just YouTube, entrepreneurs. So often you got a great idea and you start and there's so much energy and momentum, and then you don't get immediate results, and so you stop, and then you get motivated again and you keep going, and then you quit again and you give up. It's that sustained, evergreen, ongoing, daily momentum that you're missing. Even if it's just an hour a day. Maybe you have a job, you need to survive. Awesome, I understand. Yes, pay the bills. You don't have to burn all the boats and burn all the bridges as the only way that this business is going to take off. Sustained momentum every single day has to be part of what you're doing. And so I've had success on YouTube because I've made 6,000 videos. Again, I'm not super talented. It took me a long time to get here. I'm a result of just every day getting up and doing the work. And chances are, whoever your heroes are, whether it's Tony Robbins or Steve Jobs or Oprah Winfrey or whoever it is, look at their story. It was every day getting up, doing the work, even if they weren't getting results, knowing that the only thing missing, the only thing you are missing is that sustained momentum, because you're a genius, you have a great idea, that idea needs to be birthed into the world, you're just not doing enough daily action to make it actually happen.
As a creator, we often tend to kind of compare.
alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría, cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría, cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría, cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría, cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena.
Messi passes it in. Lionel Messi.
Morning, guys. Again, I'm going to borrow from Les Brown. As you can see, he's got an amazing sense of humor as I'm drawing a lot of my material to remind us to laugh our way to infinite mind wealth. Les Brown, thank you so much. Here's another example. He was talking about money at one point, and we often we don't even realize it, but we self-sabotage ourselves and with the idea that money is the root of all evil, when in fact it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Well, he was giving an example where he was talking in a speech, and he said something about how most people believe that rich people or people with a lot of money can't be happy. And then he says the example, well, he goes, I'd rather find out for myself. I'd rather become rich and find out for myself if I can be happy. So he puts a positive, laughing spin on it. And I thought, yeah, we got to look at ourselves that way when it comes to money. So yeah, we'd rather find out for ourselves. Let's get rich and find out if we can be happy. Have a great day, everybody.
So I'm a big calendar person. I really like having a deadline. When I started writing this book, my due date's in like 4 weeks or something like that. And it's not like I look at it frequently, but it's just out there. Yeah, it's just this thing that gets put into your psyche, and somehow you can work backwards so much easier from a date. So it sounds so silly, but most humans will say,
well, in 1 year or 3 years or 5 years?
I'm like, put it on your calendar, like whatever that actual timeline is, and then try to work backwards. And then for most goals, I believe in short-term goals, 100%, maybe daily, weekly, monthly, annually. But 3 or 5 year goals, who knows? So like I might have a really big vision for 10 years or 20 years, but as I get closer, I might realize, oh God, actually, nope, that's not what I want. So allowing yourself that freedom to not want to be the hot, sexy, rich millionaire with Bentleys, and instead say, oh no, what I actually want to do is I want to talk about what I want to talk about, with whom I want to talk about, owning companies I want to, and having no master. That's what rich looks like for me. And if you had stuck with your original goals, that wouldn't have been the case.
Need motivation?
Watch the top end with the Lead Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need it. I need it for me because I don't wake up every day and say, yes, let's go conquer the world. No, I wake up and I need that external motivation to match my internal motivation. When I see somebody who's doing amazing things, it makes me just want to play a bigger game. And so I hope that today's video makes you want to play a bigger game too, because your message matters, and let's get it out to the world. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Cody Sanchez, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is know your purpose.
What's your purpose? What's the thing that's driving you to do all the stuff?
Yeah, a couple things. One time, I think it's really useful if you're wondering what your purpose is, if you're struggling with, am I doing the right thing day in and day out? I like to think about a tombstone and mine. And I remember one time I had a crazy dream. And in the dream, I basically walked in the cemetery as one does. And my tombstone came up in front of me. And at the time I was in private equity and it just said like managing director, Cody Sanchez. And I was like, oh, gross. What? That's going to be the legacy? I'm like a managing director at a private equity firm? Kill me. And so I think sort of looking at your tombstone, and it doesn't have to be work related. It could be, father. That might be an incredible thing to have on your tombstone, right? And so that made me change my perspective. And now I hope the legacy is that we bring more humans into ownership. That's the second idea I'm playing around with, which is I think more humans need skin in the game in some way, shape, or form. It's the only way to feel like you have ownership in this world. You have something that you are striving for and building. And most people rent their apartments these days or their houses. Most people work at jobs where they don't have equity in it. Only 15% of humans actually own stocks, which would be equity in companies. By and large, we're becoming a nation or a world of renters when we started, over the last century, just finally becoming owners after years of serfdom. And so that is my mission, is I want more human beings to have their little plot of land, figuratively or physically, because I think that changes the way we look at the world. Then we start to become stewards of it. Then we start to become stewards of our country. You don't burn down the building that you own, right? You fix it, you renovate it, you build on it. So that's what I hope our mission is. I hope when I'm dead, I hope there's a bunch of people that would never have owned anything and now own something, and they get to pass that on to the next generation. Because otherwise, just the guys at the top own everything. I mean, 1 out of 4 houses last year got bought by 3 companies in the US. Single family houses. We don't even own our homes anymore. And so that I think needs to change.
Rule number 3 is diversify your income streams.
What I really want people to do is learn the framework. So I want you to be able to buy your first business that either supplements your salary if you want to exit your company or supplements your expenses. And so I want to teach people, how do you buy a small business that can either replace what I'm making right now or that can replace my expenses so that I can continue to do the work if I want to at my job, but I never have to. I can have my fund that's funded from something else. And so that's the first step. And then what you'll quickly realize is once you buy a business, and the average person who goes through our program buys a business typically in 11 months, and that business is somewhere between $100,000 to $10 million in total revenue. And we screen people because not everybody should do this. And so we screen them to kind of make sure, are you sure you're ready for this? And what I found is what happens is you'll buy your first business. And then you'll spend anywhere from 90 days to a year and a half, kind of stabilizing that business, running through it. But then you're going to add different, what I call revenue lines, that could be income lines to an individual through your business. So you're going to say, all right, I bought a laundromat and now I want to increase the revenue of the laundromat. So I'm going to add vending machines as another revenue line. And then because I see how that works, I'm going to add vending machines for soap. And then because I see how that works, I'm going to add a wash and fold service. And then I'm going to add a delivery service. And what you're basically doing is you're diversifying your revenue streams through one business. So there is a focus or a through line to your business, but you're being really smart in acquiring your new profit centers. And that's something I wish I learned earlier, because I always thought you had to grow organically. Like I've got to go and I've got to get this one customer or this one client. But what if instead you could acquire the clients and wrap them up inside of your business? And that's what I tend to do again and again. But the only caveat I would say there is that I do think you need to focus on skills early as opposed to income. So I have a model that says learn, earn, invest. Most people go, I want to invest. I want to invest and make money. But really what you have to do is first you have to, let's say you wanted to buy a boring business. You need to spend a minute learning about buying a boring business. 90 days, some people take a year, but let's say that 1 year trial period of really learning how to execute on deal making. And while you're doing that, I want you to earn money. And I want you to learn how to increase your earnings potential. So whether that's negotiating for a higher salary, or whether that's getting a better job with a better salary, or whether that's doing commissions. And after you've done those two things, then I want you to use that money and I want you to invest it in something or invest your time or expertise. And so That's kind of how I push people to start thinking about diversification of revenue lines.
Rule number 4 is always keep learning.
One, invest in you before you invest in assets. I buy boring businesses. I teach people how to buy boring businesses. The first thing I say to everybody is like, don't do any action for the next 90 days. Don't buy something. Don't invest in something. Your singular job is to spend at least an hour a day learning about investing. You will never, I can guarantee you will never regret spending the time learning what it means to make money either through investing or through earning. So that's the first thing. Don't make little investments. So the biggest mistake I see people make, and one of the people on my team did this. She was listening to a dude on the internet, who I'm actually friends with, funny enough. He was talking about day trading. And she spent $5,000 following his advice to day trade. I said, do you find yourself obsessed with this game of day trading or investing? Do you think that you are one of the best in the world at it? Are you getting really smart at the game of it? Or are you just attempting to speculate and get rich quick? Because that is the fastest way to lose your money. Yeah. So that's one. Two, it's the old adage that we all know to be true, which is, I think you should be the poorest and the dumbest in as many rooms as you possibly can. And I try to do that continuously. I'm trying to do it with fitness right now, actually, because I want a six-pack. So I want to see if the six-pack, do they rub off? Are they contagious? I'm unsure. It does. Unsure. But somebody said to me something I really liked, which is you should be, if you want to achieve a goal, get in a friend group where your goal is their norm.
Yeah.
And that really flipped something for me, because when it's my goal to have a six-pack and eat healthy, but the people I'm hanging around all already have six-packs and eat healthy, their norm is what I want. Their goal will help me get to my goal way faster. Yeah. And so that's the second thing. It's just getting in the right rooms. And then probably the third is our motto. It's question everything you're told. Stuff by me, stuff by you. Your ability to hear an idea, even well or beautifully articulated, write it down and then go, do I agree with this? I'm not sure I do. What about second and third order effects of this situation? That critical thinking component will save people from poor investment decisions, and it'll save them from poor career decisions, and it will make them become a thinker as opposed to a follower.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is surround yourself with A players.
If you sit next to a high performer, so if you have your team sit next to a high performer, you will outperform by 15%. So a high performer just in your proximity will increase your performance by 15%. If you sit next to a low performer or underperformer, it will decrease your productivity by 30%. So every B player you bring on board is not just decreasing their productivity by 30%. It is that energy transfer, which is that everybody around them becomes a little bit less productive. And I think one of the reasons people want to be owners of companies is because they feel that. People want to stay at companies where there's a bunch of winners. That's why I liked Goldman. I was like, these guys are so smart. I'm learning so much. I want to keep going. When I was at Vanguard, I was like, oh my God, these schleps are just schlepping around the office, not doing anything. I'm not learning anything. And they're by, design sort of pulling you back and down. And so I keep that number on a notepad next to my computer for me to, 1, not be the underperformer, and 2, it's not just about getting rid of underperformers for you as a CEO. It's not good to do to your team. So, we've definitely have had them in varying companies of mine, but we push relentlessly to either make people better or help them find the thing that they can be an A performer at.
Rule number 6 is learn to love pain.
Do you think it's necessary to take that pain early? Or if in an alternative or in an alternate universe, could you have enjoyed that process while also getting all the benefits from it?
That's a good question. I think I did enjoy the process. I think I learned to love pain and struggle. Okay. And there were the only thing that was the hard for me is being really, really tired. I can see that why that's a torture tactic, because there were days where you had to focus and I would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, I'm like, I'm barely here right now. That was really tough. But actually the long hours working on an interesting problem set is not a problem. But I think it is and I was just thinking about this week. I had a tough week this week, stuff going on in the companies, lots of work, no sleeping. And I was writing about reminding myself, why do I keep doing this? I don't technically need to keep doing this. You probably don't technically need to keep doing this. So why? And the reason is because I think that the struggle is a bit of an honor. And I think if you want to know what the key to happiness is, it's struggle. If you want to know what the key to wealth is, it's struggle. If you want to know what the key to making a lot of money is, it's struggle. And the more that you can realize that iron actually does sharpen iron, and the more sort of difficult things you can champion and do, the more likely you are to have a successful life. I think it's a life hack. It's a secret that these days we don't want to hear. Now everybody wants, I want to do the least and make the most. I want to hire the least amount of people and have the biggest company. I'm a solo entrepreneur that will never employ anybody, that makes millions on the internet, and you can do it too without any work and 4 hours a week. Like, that's the thing that we've said we want. And then I think about it for a second. I stand back and I'm like, is that really what we want? Like, what happened to building empires? What happened to leaving legacies? What are you going to do in the other 52 hours of your week? And so I don't think you have to struggle forever, but I think periods of struggle make the periods of relaxation really poignant. And with one without the other is like a day without a night. Nobody wants to live in complete pleasure and happiness always because it diminishes. And so I do think you need it.
Rule number 7 is utilize social media.
You are putting a lot of effort into social media. I am putting a lot of effort into social media.
No.
Why are you doing it? What's the point of growing this? Is this just ego? Is it, because there's probably a little bit that definitely drives me. But why do you do it?
I started it in 2020 for a couple different reasons. One was I got a little bored because I wasn't doing road shows and private equity like I was for the past 15 years, running around every week. You know the deal, raising money from investors, vetting deals. I was working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. And when COVID happened, I had a little bit of time, and I actually got to take a step back and think for a minute. And in that period, I was trying to think about leverage. So basically, what is the highest leverage activity for my time that I could spend in this moment? And for most of my career, I hadn't thought that way. I had really sort of thought, what's the next step in my career? And then the next step. But there's a power play to determining how you want to spend your time. And if you can actually think, okay, what is the, as Archimedes said, give me a fulcrum and a lever, give me a fulcrum and a lever to place upon it. And if you have a long enough version, you can move the world, right? And so I kind of thought about that with social media. And I think I read a post from Naval Ravikant that basically talked about the 3 levels of leverage, which was first employment or people. You could do something bigger than yourself if you convinced other people to join you. And then the second lever was capital. Most of the big wealthy humans that we know through time as titans, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, were created during the Banking Act, right? When we got access to other people's capital at scale. And then the third was code. Bezos, Musk, Gates, all of these guys had early access to technology before other people did. And so they had an army of robots, quote unquote, online. And the fourth one that he hadn't talked about enough yet was audience. And audience, in my mind, is the first permissionless form of leverage. Banks, you had to ask for the money. Code, you had to have access to the technology. And for humans, you needed money to pay them, right? And now we had audience. And I thought, wait a second, I'm running around trying to raise capital for investment deals. I'm doing, I'm in the Million Mile Club. I'm doing 100,000 plus miles a year. It's actually not that fun. What would it look like if instead of me going to people, I brought them to me? And once I started looking at the power of social media, I thought, I can't believe I haven't seen this before. In finance, we don't typically do social media because unlike real estate, we have way tighter rules for raising capital. And so I remember I worked at a firm where I had all these licenses, 66 and 63 and Series 7 and 24. And my firm said, if you say anything publicly, you could move the markets. I'm like, bro, it's like me and my mom on here. Nobody's following my stuff yet. But they basically, my CEO at the time said to me, we get rich quietly. We get rich quietly and we don't talk about it. We don't make a ruckus. And I thought, I don't know. I think we could get rich in public if we did it the right way. And so that convinced me, I'm going to build a huge social audience. I'm going to never do another steak dinner and I'm going to see how big this could get. And it turns out I was right.
Rule number 8 is don't let anyone hold you back.
The people who love you, they want what's best for them, typically, which is that you're safe, you're secure, everything's okay. They don't really want what's quote unquote best for you, because that's actually the scary thing. Real growth happens when you take huge risks and you potentially fail and you realize that you're not going to die. And so I realized that my loved ones were some of the reasons that were actually holding me back. Super supportive, but they were always saying things like, is the grass always greener, Cody? You know, what about this next thing? Is that really going to make you happy? You know, are you sure it's not you? Is it them? And in some cases, they're right. I just have that ridiculous urge to keep growing and doing more. But that made me jump from 5 finance companies in like 10 years or something like that, because I thought it was the individual company. And I didn't realize, oh no, I'm just like unemployable. I want to work for myself. I'm not going to be great at being at somebody else's employee. But it was the stories that I heard again and again from my family because they wanted to keep me safe. Very kind, but not right for me.
Rule number 9 is learn to negotiate.
I remember when I went to go ask for my raise, I was like, what is a way where I could decrease this sucking for him? Because it's awful when somebody asks you for a raise as an employee and you can't give it to them, or you don't think they're, or as an employer, or you don't think that they're actually worth that. And so there's this tension, obviously, that happens immediately. And everybody all the time is coming to you as an employer asking for more money. And so you can actually really negatively impact the relationship. But I said, okay, I'm going to come up with like kind of a fun way that I could ask him where he is never going to have felt this before and simultaneously will feel like it's low risk. So I searched around on the internet and I kind of found this idea of, I got a cocktail napkin, and on the cocktail napkin, I wrote on it like a couple numbers. Like the first number was the growth that I was going to have in the business. I think it was from a revenue perspective. Like the second number was what our profits were going to be in the business that I was working in my little lane. And then the third was what I wanted. And I pulled the napkin out in a meeting with Andy, and I'm all sweaty and I'm nervous. And I said, Andy, somewhere I read that any idea worth having at some point was written on a cocktail napkin. And so I said, I want to earn more money at this company, but I fully understand that in order to earn more money, I have to make more money for the company. So I brought you an idea for what I think I could increase and grow within the company that would be really material to you. And if I did those things, maybe I could make this number at the bottom. And if that number isn't right for you, I'd love to have a conversation on what it would take for me to get to that bottom number, and we could adjust the top ones. And he kind of like looked at me, he's like, Nat, like what's wrong with, it's just like defused the situation. Yeah. And so as an employee, those little negotiation tactics, I did them at least once a year, and sometimes I did them biannually if I was really killing it, led me to being one of the better paid people pretty consistently. And then I always usually asked for any ability to co-invest in deals we were doing. So it was like, I'm going to put my money, I believe in what we're doing so much here, I'd like to put my money into a deal. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm asking for you to like maybe let me put $5K in. And that led to me accelerating my cash faster.
Super cool. And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is take big risks.
What advice would you give to 16-year-old Cody, who maybe she's got $1,000 through mowing the lawn and through tutoring maths or something, and she's got $1,000 and she's like, I want to invest this $1,000. How would you approach that conversation with your younger self?
Well, I'll tell you what I tell my cousins now who are right about that age. So to my 16 to 18-year-old cousins, I say, take the big risk now while you have no responsibility. The more responsibility you get, the scarier the risk becomes. When you have kids, when you have a mortgage, when you have a big paycheck that you could lose, it's scary to go start a business, to think about buying a business, to think about being the operator in a business. But when you're young, you should take all the risk humanly possible because failure doesn't really matter when you're young. I don't think you should take $1,000 and invest it in anything when you're young, unless you're investing it in yourself or you're investing it in a big risk, like trying to potentially turn $1,000 into a $100,000 business purchase. Interesting.
Okay. But not Bitcoin or NFTs.
Not Bitcoin. Okay. No. I mean, there's in investing, we say that those people are speculators, not investors. And there's a whole generation of people that have been taught speculation, not investing. Anytime you have the last man fallacy, which is that the person who comes in next that you're going to sell to is the dumb one that's going to be holding the bag, you should know that you should run away from that because you're the last man. We don't want to be a nation of people who are trying to kind of dupe people into being the next person to buy it at a higher valuation than we did. We want to have assets that are so good that you think like Warren Buffett and you want to hold them for 30 years. You have to pry that business out of my cold, dead hands because it's a great business. And I think because we had that fast money run of NFTs and Bitcoin and stocks, people get confused. And, you know, the other thing that's so true is really good finance people who trade stocks have something called a black box. They don't even tell their salespeople that go and rep their product what's inside of their algorithms. It's firewalled. You can't see inside. Why? Because I would never tell somebody my unfair advantage that everybody else could go replicate immediately if trading is the way that I make money. So anybody that teaches trading online is totally full of it, in my opinion, because if they had great secrets, they would never share them. They'd just pile as much money as humanly possible into it and buy a bunch of Bentleys. And so I'm really cautious on speculators and I'm really bullish on ownership.
So how might said 16-year-old or said cousin actually invest that $1,000?
You invested in yourself. I think you need to learn at that point. You have to learn, then you increase your earnings, then you invest. No 16-year-old should be taking their $1,000 and putting it in the S&P, in my opinion. They will make so much more money by taking that $1,000 and going and learning how to create a bunch of YouTube videos, or going and learning how to buy businesses, or going and learning how to talk to people and negotiate. Whatever the case may be, I would take the $1,000 and I would consider it your little MBA money. And I think spend like that until you can start you can do the S&P 500, putting 10% of your savings in. I've done that for a long, long time, but that won't make you rich. It'll just potentially beat inflation.
Each of us, we have something I call it inside of us.
Here we go. Back to controlling our breathing. Back to controlling our minds. Feel the power of your heart beating faster right now. Your heart. That's the power of determination. Your heart always knows what's best. Your heart can feel and sense things that your mind cannot. That they both need each other equally. Minds, hearts, bodies unite. That energy, our power to determine, that's determination, who we really are. Growing our minds, our bodies, and our energy in the gym of life. Everywhere we go, everywhere we are. You have the greatest gift. You have your presence. With that presence, right here, right now, you can take it, keep using it wherever you go. To get out of your mind, sometimes your mind is playing tricks, lying to you, telling you to be afraid, telling you to give in to fear, to anxiety, to stress, to become sad and depressed. No, that's a lie. We are determination. We're made of truth, like everyone.
in this universe, truth principles. And those truth principles, that stuff you're made of, I'm made of, that determination, that never ends. That always chooses courage. Sorry, that always determines courage, determines faith, determines love, positivity, being kind, generous, being grateful. That's what we were all born to do, no matter what. With that, we can overcome anything our mind tries to do to us. Don't forget, you are the boss of your mind, and your mind is the boss of your body. And so if you control your mind, you will control your body. And more importantly, your feelings. Because your feelings are connected to your thoughts. And you control your thoughts. So if you can control your thoughts, your mind, you can determine to be your true, happy, infinitely intelligent self all the time, not just now.